Hi, my name's Kamana and welcome to Holistic Nomads TV, where ancient wisdom and modern science can help you to have more clarity and energy in your life. Today's class is question and answer from the public, and our question comes from David in the UK. And he says, I'm very Pitta, however my body looks like Kapha, mostly because I'm overweight. Otherwise I feel I'm not a combination body type and my type is pure Pitta. Any ideas on how to bring my body weight and self into balance? David, we can definitely help out with this. So first, let's start on the Prakriti, the birth constitution. Because you've said that you feel you are a pure Pitta type and yet you're a little overweight, I'm not so sure specifically on why. So this is one for all the public out there. If you're sending questions into us, then be sure to talk about the specific qualities on why you feel you are a pure Pitta. What characteristics? Are you driven? Are you focused? Do you have a strong, intense digestive system where you need to eat, couldn't go 3 or 4 hours without eating? Do you tend towards anger, irritability, impatience? These sorts of things may tell us more about your Pitta body type. Yes, overweight could be a Kapha body type, yet it could also be expressing some degree of Vikriti, just as you say. So we'll start to look now at what that could be in relation to Vikriti body type, and we'll just assume that you're correct in that you are a pure Pitta body type and you're just experiencing a Kapha imbalance over the top of that. So if the Vikriti, the present imbalance, is a pure Pitta body type and the Kapha imbalance is coming over that as overweight, then the weight would be expressed evenly across most of the whole body. Whereas if the imbalance is more Kapha, that is associated in your birth constitution, then the weight might be expressed more about the hips and the thighs. If, however, the imbalance is more Vata within the birth constitution, and now there's a Kapha excess within weight that's accumulating over the top, then the weight would express more within the belly, the visceral organs, visceral fat. This will happen more to do with stress, more to do with cortisol, more to do with age-related weight gain that will express towards the middle of the body. So you can start to narrow in on which dosha you might think would be influencing your weight gain, depending on where the weight is being held in the body. So as we're treating with Ayurveda, we look at Prakriti, birth constitution, we look at Vikriti, present imbalance, and then we go onto a specific condition. So the specific condition in Ayurveda is known as Meda Roga, and this means fat tissue disease excess. And the 3 primary causes for Meda Roga are Agni, digestive transformation imbalance, Mala, or waste product imbalance, the body's not getting rid of its wastes properly, and Ashrota's imbalance. These are the tissue channels of the body, how we're transporting nutrition throughout the body. So let's address those one at a time and have a look at what signs and symptoms might be associated and possible treatments for that as well. So first, let's look at Agni. And Ayurveda says that the primary causes related to Meda Roga are an imbalance in lifestyle and diet, and these are really key when it comes to Agni. If we have a sedentary lifestyle where we're not exercising enough, or our diet is imbalanced, then that can easily lead to a weight gain, and especially Agni, imbalanced digestive system. So start to look at that for yourself, David. How is your exercise? How's your lifestyle? Are you exercising before 9 a.m. each day, before breakfast? That'll really help to work with the fat metabolism, really help the digestive tissue. Make sure that's a regular lifestyle habit. Are your meals around the same times each day? You can have a look at the other classes we have on the 7 tips for eating, 7 tips for drinking. They'll narrow in on which types of habits you might be doing that could be imbalancing your digestive fire. You could also narrow in more on the specific dosha through the Agni type test that we'll link up in the show notes below, and an AMA type test as well, or not an AMA type, an AMA score, how much half-digested byproducts is accumulating in your system. If we start to get more AMA, then that will influence the waste products of the body. So these next thing we'll be looking at is the waste products. AMA will influence and damage the tissues and their ability to to remove waste products from the body. It will also influence the srotas, the tissue channels that things move through, the nutrient channels, and then start to be like a sponge that's blocking up those areas, blocking nutrition from getting towards the cells, blocking waste products from getting away. The body then starts to use the fat tissue as an extra storage system because excess is building up within the channels of the body and it needs a place to store that excess, so it usually stores it in fat then. Next one, in relation to the Agni and digestive metabolism, looks at carbohydrate content in the diet. Studies have shown that the number one thing when it comes to weight loss is lowering carbohydrate content in your diet. So it's number one, diet, number two, exercise, most powerful things for weight loss. If you completely eliminate all carbohydrates, it can be really good for weight loss. It puts the body into ketosis, means using the fats for fuels. Yet, if you are doing that, it's not a long-term diet that I recommend. If you have more of a Kapha constitution, you can do it for a couple of months or more. If you are a Pitta dominant type, as David believes he is, then I wouldn't use a ketosis, no carbohydrate diet for long periods of time, maybe a week or 2 weeks at the max. I would prefer to use what I call a slow carb diet or a low carb diet. So sweet potato, pumpkin, little bits of basmati rice, still whole grains and not flour products. I'd cut out wheat and the very strong growth promoting grains, and you should be able to lose weight by just introducing those. You could also introduce intermittent fasting, meaning cutting out dinner on maybe 2 days of the week could really help to have a longer fasting period, lots of liquids between the meals, and especially during that night period, maybe a soupy stew that's very vegetable dominant. If you feel your hunger being Pitta dominant is too much, then just favor the vegetables with no carbohydrate content to them, especially the leafy green type vegetables cooked into a stew. These have got very low carbohydrate and can be great to stimulate diuretic, fluid metabolism, getting rid of excess fluids and getting rid of excess weight. If we continue with this theme of Agni and tissue metabolism, we're now going to focus in on specifically the Meda Dhatu Agni, which means the fat tissue metabolism. And if we really want to get the fat tissue metabolism going, then the two main things are exercising to the point of sweating. So when we start to sweat, Ayurveda says that this is starting to burn up the fat tissue inside the body. This is proven within modern science as well. When we're sweating and exercising, we often chew into fats for fuel, especially if we're doing that in the morning after we've been fasting overnight. Then getting a little bit of a sweat going then means you're going to be using your fats for fuel system there. So that's a great one for weight loss. Exercising in the morning before you're eating something, awesome. The second one is using some form of substance which stimulates the digestive metabolism of the fat tissue. And I'm going to try and keep it fairly balanced and even here, meaning I'm not going to introduce herbs that really stimulate it in an intense way that could damage people out there, especially because I know a lot of people will approach weight loss diets that don't necessarily need it, especially don't need substances that stimulate weight loss metabolism when they could aggravate their other doshas inside the body. So the substance I'm choosing here is green tea. Green tea is great for stimulating fat metabolism inside the body, small amounts of it, couple of times a day, more as a regular consistent use can really help to stimulate fat metabolism tissue. If you have a lot of vata, nervous system imbalance, then be aware green tea is drying. Green tea can aggravate the nervous system. So if you just got the weight on the belly and you think it could be stress related, then green tea is not the solution for you. Oh, and coming back to the exercise for a moment, if we want to get most specific on the type of exercise I'd recommend, I think strength and conditioning is some of the best for weight loss. It's not because it gives the most weight loss in the moment. It's because it's done so slowly that it doesn't stimulate stress response hormones. If we use strength and conditioning, slow weights or body weight process, looking at the 8 functional movement patterns, so I think there's a whole class on the 8 functional movement patterns in exercise, so like a push pattern, a pull down pattern, a pull back pattern, a lunging, a squat pattern, etc. There's different ways that our body wants to move. And we want to use all of those patterns within our strength and conditioning. 3 days a week of really pushing the body towards its fail point. So 8 to 12 repetitions in 3 sets of that with all the different patterns of the body 3 times a week. Not only will this stimulate fat metabolism while you're doing it, yet having stronger and bigger muscles means your metabolism over the day is going to be burning more calories too, meaning better weight loss as well. So strength and conditioning training over an hour run, if you are exercising for 30 minutes or more, you tend to produce cortisol. It's a stress response hormone. It causes the body to gain and hold on to more weight long term. So I would recommend smaller amounts, strength and conditioning exercise, 20 to 30 minutes as your maximum amount for the program, and you'll be able to really stimulate the good fat tissue metabolism without stressing the nervous system. So we come to our second cause for excess fat tissue. Ayurveda says the malas, the waste products. We need to look at the waste products of the body. So feces, urine, and sweat are the 3 main waste products that we look at. We need to be producing all of those every day in balanced amounts. So you can check out our videos on feces and doing a perfect poo. I can't remember the name of that one, but you'll see it in the notes below. We'll also make a video about urination in the future and signs and symptoms related to the urine, and sweat I'll talk about now. So a little remedy, if we're having any feces type problem, a simple tridoshic, meaning suitable for so many people, is Triphala. It's a combination of 3 different fruits. We'll link it up in the show notes where you'd be able to get that. You could take a half teaspoon of that at night before bed in a big glass of warm water, and that will help to make sure that you're eliminating properly and you're keeping the micro channels of the body open. Without that, we won't eliminate the excess that could be blocking the channels, which will then lead to more storage. I need to store these toxins somewhere, and we might store them within the fat cells. With the sweat one, we need to make sure that there's a little sweat that's happening every day, and we talked about that in relation to exercise. Yet another great way to do that is steam. Steam can be awesome to stimulate fat tissue metabolism in the body, and also does it work with the mala, eliminating excess toxins from the body. It works with the next major cause, the shrotas, the tissue channels inside the body, because as we steam, we open up the pores, we open up the channels, we allow circulation to improve and metabolism improves. If you are a Pitta dominant type, as you believe, then steam for you will need to be smaller amounts. Tiny little amounts that just get the sweat going, that just allow you to break a sweat and use more of the cool off period in between. You're going to be doing smaller sets, maybe 2 to 5 minutes depending upon the heat of the steam. Ideally the head would be outside, so if you've got a little steam box that you can sit in, you can buy them on eBay and many different places online. We can probably link one up in the show notes below where you'd be able to purchase a little steam box that you can have at home and have your head sitting out of it. If it's a steam box, then generally the temperature is not as high as a sauna. You may be able to do 10 minutes or more in that. Yet what we're looking at here is if you start to sweat on the forehead in a steam box, that's it. That's enough, yeah? That's all you need for that time. And just to have that as a regular habit, 2 or 3 times a week for a period of time. If you are a Pitta dominant type, then don't do that so much in the summer or the middle of the day. Do it in the afternoon, do it in the winter time, do it at times when the Pitta is not as high, and it could still be really beneficial to help with fat metabolism. The third thing for the malas, the waste products, is to look at armor. I've already talked about the anti-armor test. It's linked up below. You could check if armor is part of the cause. If it is, then really start to eat a lighter diet with smaller meals. Even if you're a Pitta dominant type, you may need to do that for a period of time to clear out the channels of the body. And we move straight into our third one here, the shrotas, the bodily tissue channels, and how we're moving nutrition throughout the body. So sweat, again, really helps with that. that. The second one for that would be hot water. Sipping regular amounts of warm water really helps with the circulation throughout the body. If you're a Pitta dominant type, I'd only be doing that in the afternoon and in the morning, and not in the summer so much. It'll really help to stimulate metabolism. You might have sips of warm water in the middle of the meals, not before the meal or after the meal. These will also help with tissue metabolism throughout the body. I'm going to add a substance to this Shrota's one as well. For you, if it's a Pitta dominant person, the substance is Manjishta, Manjishta. We'll link it up below where you'll be able to find some Manjishta. You could boil 1 teaspoon in about 1 liter of water and drink that as your water over the day, and that will help with the fluids of the body to clear out circulation channels and help a little bit with fat metabolism as well. Thanks, David, for sending this question in to us. I know that you can get success with this weight, especially if you're a Pitta dominant body type. It shouldn't be too difficult to start to shed some of those extra kilos there. So just keep at it, apply it slowly. Try not to do any extreme fad type diets. Look at a balanced regime, and I'm sure you'll get the results in time. Keep up the great work, David. I hope this class has been beneficial for you. And if it has, maybe share it with others who it could also help out too. If you've got any questions for something personal related to yourself, then we'd love to help you out and create some specific steps on your path to health. You can submit your questions on holisticnomads.com/ask, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube below so you'll be notified when your question is answered. Until next time, all the best. Thanks, David, for sending this question in for us. I just instantly want to say, I really hope it's been helpful for you. What else do I say to David?